Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Ninja Selling Podcast. I'm Matt, he's Garrett, and we're happy to be here with you guys. Welcome to the middle of Gratitude Month. You guys are probably gearing up for, I guess, Thanksgiving's probably coming up next week at the time this goes on. So just want to say thankful for all of you who listen to us, who share these episodes out and everything. Man, boy, do we appreciate you guys doing that. So thank you for you. If you guys want to learn more about Ninja, head over to ninjaselling.com. You can learn about the installation, the training. You can learn about coaching. You can learn about mastery. You can learn about business planning. It's all right there. There's a lot going on with Ninja right now. And you can even join our amazing podcast community, fastest growing community in the universe, by going to Facebook and searching for the Ninja Selling Podcast. Garrett, good morning to you, good sir.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good today. I'm doing very well today.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. I'm doing very well too. It's a beautiful day.
You have a great topic today. It's one of these topics that I'm excited because it's as we go through business planning, I feel like this is a lot of areas that a lot of people get stuck in. When we do our business planning classes, Matt, this is actually one of the things that stops me from filling in the blanks on the business plan. When people are like, give me some examples. What should numbers look like? What should things be? And I'm always like, I'm so hesitant to write in numbers because we lock onto what is good enough, what's appropriate. And you brought this topic. I'm going to have you announce it in here because I think it's great.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about today is why isn't six figures good enough? The real estate industry, the sales side of it anyway, is so just kind of filled with make more, do this and you're going to make 350, 400, 500,000, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make a ton of money. I personally want to make a ton of money, but there's also a lot of people in this industry, when you think about how big it is, that, hitting six figures, 100, 150, 200, or maybe even less than that, it's good. But for some reason, some of these folks in the space look down on people who aren't making a certain amount, which that is just horrible, because you can sell several $1 million worth of real estate, walk away with a six-figure 1099 at the end of the year, and you can be happy on that. And you know what? Sometimes that's the second income for a household too, which is incredible. So yeah, I want to just talk about normalizing that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Do you imagine if you explained it that way, that we have this is the second income in the household and my 100,000 just purely goes to buying investments?
I mean, whoa. It's just
but I think what's important, Matt, and where you're going with this is that one is that there's so many different levels of what $100,000 will do for you across the United States.
Yeah, depending on where you are. I mean, there's so much.
Yes.
I mean, that's good primary income, quite frankly.
And it's easy when you get into these classes and you get into hearing about these success stories or who they put up on a stage at a conference, and you sit there and you make a judgment of well, that's a level of success, or that's what I'm supposed to be going after. And I remember when I first started coaching, and it was when somebody had hit a $300,000 or $400,000 amount, that was the upper echelon of woo, 400 in 1 year. Now we're going back 20 years ago, and it was whoa, that's a huge leap. And then here we now are using numbers oh, I actually had somebody make $2 million in GCI last year. In 1 year, I've seen somebody make a $500,000 month, 1 month, $500,000. And you start to go, okay, well, now we don't even talk about these lower incomes. These lower incomes just get kind of left in the dark. And the reality is some of those people, that is the good life. And it's okay. That should be, you should not be always comparing yourself up going, yeah, but if I was really successful, I'd be doing that. Because I know a lot of people that are making that 100 to 150 to 200. They have amazing lives. They are doing the things they want to do. They have the things they want to have. They're setting themselves up for the future that they want to have. And it's hard sometimes when you watch them not appreciate that, because they all of a sudden are looking at what others are doing going well, yeah, I'm not really Yeah, I'm not one of them.
And some of the challenge I have with the way certain areas of the industry look at this is, let's say, well, you're not good enough if you're not earning a certain amount, or if you're working, quote, part-time, which I think the notion of part-time versus full-time in real estate is more of a mindset versus hours worked or income earned, because there are some people who probably are better real estate agents closing fewer deals than people who are closing more deals, quote unquote, better agents. And now, if you want to do more and you're not doing more, this isn't a justification for accepting where you're at and saying, oh, well, I guess it's just okay if I don't do that.
Yep.
It really comes down to what are you looking to achieve? And if you are saying, hey, I want to just be really amazing at this career and I want to earn a really good living and be in the six figures, which is a lot of money, but also not really work a whole lot. Awesome. Real estate is a great place for that, because you can still serve people at a really great level if you are doing processes in a certain way. And it's not something that should be looked down on.
Well, and I think as you're talking here, Matt, I'm kind of looking at this from a different perspective of, initially when we started this, my brain was going like, okay, this is an episode specifically for people to be able to go, you know what, I'm good with the amount that I'm making. But I think it's actually where I want to make sure the message actually comes out of this episode is the people that are making, 500 to $1 million, let the people below you make less and let them be okay with it. Like, I think sometimes we look and we kind of go like, oh, they're not playing at the upper level. They're not pushing it, and they should be pushing it. They should be growing, or like, what's wrong? I mean, the amount of times where I've watched somebody that was making 600,000 that the next year they made 400,000. And I mean, there's so many examples of different versions of this, but the real one is I had somebody making 600,000. The next year they made 400,000. And the first response that I have people say is, oh my gosh, what happened? Like, what went wrong? What broke? Like, what was down in this person's business? And you have to then go, well, let's dig deeper to what really was the story here. The person went from taking a week of vacation the year before to taking 11 weeks of vacation. And if you were to talk to this person, they will say this year that they made the $200,000 less in income is their favorite year they've had to date so far. It's not always about the income. It's not always about that is your level of success that you can benchmark yourself amongst all these people out here. It is a complete package of what are you creating. And I know a lot of people that make $150,000 a year and they are very satisfied, very excited about what their life is, where it's going. And sometimes you need to, kind of like, I don't like putting blinders on, but it's really like going, okay, great. That's your life over there. That's what you want to do. This is my picture that I'm creating, and be excited about what you are creating and what you're doing. It's not a comparison game. We're not trying to keep up with the Joneses of how much you're supposed to increase your income every year.
Yeah. Well, and in this time of year too, when you're doing business planning and, there's a lot of people who will sit there and be like, well, I'm happy with what I'm making. This is good, but there are some other things I want to improve, but I'm being pushed in all these areas to shoot for more. Right. And if that's you and you're like, I don't want to do that, it's like, great, let's figure out where can we then be efficient and effective. And some people might say, hey, I still want to earn a lot of money. I just don't want to do it all in real estate. Like, there's other things, other investments that I want to spend time on that I would like to use as income producers or wealth builders in my world. Because I will say, earning 500,000, 600, 700, all these numbers, these big numbers, it's a lot of work. It's not like they figured out some secret switch where they can still work 25 hours a week and make $500,000 selling real estate. It still takes a lot of effort.
I'll never forget too, because there's another side of it is, well, I want to do the same income, but I want to do it in less time. And I remember I had an agent that I coached many, many, many years ago. And she came to me and she says, my goal is to make $100,000. And in my brain, I was like, okay, like $100,000, like, great, let's go after it. And I only want to work 3 days a week. It's like, oh, now the game has changed, because here we are in a service type industry. We have a lot of people that when they want to do real estate, they want to do it now. Then when they want to go look at a house, they want to go look at it now. They don't want to wait because they might lose it. Like there's a lot of factors now that come into this to say, okay, how can we maintain $100,000 income while having 4 days off a week? Because that's really what she was asking for. She's not asking for how many days she can work in. She's asking for, I don't want to work 4 of the days of the week and make $100,000 income.
Yeah.
And that's incredible to figure out how to do that. And I think that as we grow, some people go, well, I'm happy with my income, so I'm done growing. Well, that's another spot to take a look at and say, we're never done growing.
Yeah.
We're never done figuring out the plan. There's always, you should always, it's a healthy thing in just your world to always have something that you're improving on, something you're learning, something you're achieving. Lots of things happen when you stop achieving, you stop growing, you stop learning. Health-wise, there's been studies around that when you stop growing, health ailments start kicking in and all kinds of stuff.
And be careful. We can go down a whole path.
Oh, yeah, a whole area here. So we always want to keep growing, but it doesn't always just have to be about income. And I think we're in an industry, we're in a world that it's always like, you got to make more income, you got to push, you got to be making more. And I will tell you, like, there's so much more to it than just making more money. And I think be okay with that, but you got to understand your business. You got to understand where you're going, because otherwise you do fall into the trap of, what should I be doing? Oh, I'm supposed to set a higher income goal. Okay, I guess we'll mark that up to 300 this year because that's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm not excited about it. And I'm just doing it because that's what everybody else is doing. And that, if you find yourself in that position, throw the emergency brake on, pull the car over to the side of the road and be like, I need to reevaluate what I'm really doing here and where I'm going and what's important to me. Because that at some point for everybody, Matt, we've all watched this.
Yeah.
At some point, the income stops as a driver.
Oh, it absolutely. And this is where the deep work really takes place in figuring out, okay, what are the things that you want to build? One thing I may have mentioned this on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, but one thing I've been talking to my clients about too is think forward for the whole year and about what will you be happy about that you've done that year personally with your habits, with your actions, with your emotions, not with your money, because money is the byproduct of all this stuff anyway. And if you have big income goals, fantastic. We'll feed those in. But let's start by, at the end of the year, when you look back and you say, hey, these are the things that made me proud. What are those things? And then let's build around that, because if you start with a number, now you have to go fit your emotions and your lifestyle and everything into that number. And a lot of times it doesn't work. Either they're just not aligned. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it's a backwards way, I think.
Well, and Matt, I think we watch this show up through people's years when they are building and they're pushing and we're growing, and we might be halfway through the year and someone will say, I think I'm on track for my goal that I set for myself, but I'm okay if I make X amount because I don't really need that much to live or to build the life that I want. That was I just set the goal there because that's where I felt like I should set it at. It's like, well, what was the real goal to begin with? What were you really trying? And who really was that goal for? Was that goal for your sales manager? Was it for the owner of your company that they helped you write this goal that's out here that you're like, okay, I'll write it down, I guess. And I guess we'll focus on that. Or was it a real goal of yours? Because a real goal of yours, one that you are not willing to waver from, you should be looking mid-year going, what do I need to change? What do I need to adjust to make sure that this goal I set for myself is obtainable and I'm going to make sure I can accomplish it? The minute it's like I guess it wasn't really that important. It wasn't your goal probably to begin with, or at least you didn't really have that I'm not willing to accept less mentality moving forward. Because if you have that, you will move mountains as you move through your year, and you will be like, look, I'm a little bit off, but what do we need to do different? I got to stay up a little later. I need to make some extra phone calls. I need to do some extra appointments. I've got to do something different if I'm going to create this world that I want to create. So pay attention to that. You might have found yourself this, especially, and I hate to say this, a lot of you might have found yourself this year, currently 2023, finding yourself through the year going, yeah, it's okay. And I'm okay doing less. I'm okay making less. Where I have a lot of people that were like, this year's different and I got to figure out a new approach, a different way to look at things, a different way to approach it if I'm going to hit those numbers that I want to hit. Those are real own goals is what they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else, Matt?
I don't think I have much more other than just, whichever end of the spectrum you sit on, whether you're a high income earner looking at people who aren't earning that much saying, oh, they're not good enough. Stop that, for one. Two, if you're one of those who's not earning the tops of the tops and comparing yourself, stop comparing yourself. Focus on what you want to achieve and just align your vision with your money situation.
And I'm going to add in one more thing because I can't let this go too. When this comparison game starts to play in here, I had an agent the other day that was comparing herself to the top agents in the office and the list and going like, I want to be at that list up there. And it was really interesting. The more we started to talk about it, she started to explain to me that all the people in the top 10 had these bigger teams. They had lots of people that were working for them. And then I started to ask, well, how is the list organized? Like, how do you make the top 10? Well, it was all volume. And so we started talking about that. And I'm like, well, what are we really competing with? Like, what are we trying to compete against here? Make sure your goals are set in a way that you are in competition with people that are playing the same game as you. Because here we are trying to play a volume game with 5 agents on one team where you're sitting here by yourself. And the crazy thing is that if you were to break down your income at the end of the year, this one person doing it by themselves might be walking with more cash in hand at the end of the year than the team that beat them by volume, by the way that everybody celebrated in the office because that team is just incredible and look at what they do.
Yeah.
And you're sitting down below, maybe not receiving the praise, but at the end of the day, you might be more successful than those people. So I think it's an interesting thing as we start to get into the what should we be striving for, what should we be growing towards. Make sure you're playing the same game as the others around you too, because some of those guys playing the big game up above, looking down going, oh man, they only made so much that year. They might have taken home more than you, by the way. So be careful.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think that money, really confuses the whole comparison thing, which is why it's never really a great gauge on success in the industry. It really comes down to like, are you smiling at the end of the day too? What makes you happy?
That's a great way to look at it, Matt. Are you smiling at the end of the day?
Yeah. Are you happy? Are you happy with your business? Are your clients happy? If everybody's happy, we're good. And if you want to do more, fantastic. If you don't want to do more, fantastic. Like, this is why everybody writes and creates their own individual plan so that you can go find what works for you, not for what works for Garrett, what works for Matt, what works for this guy over here in the corner office, whatever it is, right? Focus on your plan. And if it is to go big, awesome. Buckle up. Let's go. Right. So there we go.
I have a goal to build my first engine by the end of this year, and everybody else should have the same goal as me, just so you know, because that's what success looks like, is building a small block Ford is everybody's goal. You should have it as a benchmark.
Maybe not.
That's just my goal.
Oh, man.
All right.
Well, I love it. Thanks, Garrett, for hammering on this one with me.
Dude, I love this topic, and I think it's an important thing to get some understanding around and to let loose a little bit and really understand what's important to you, man. So I love that you brought this to the table. To everybody listening out there, if you want to learn more about the bigger picture of ninja selling and kind of what our backgrounds come from, go to ninjaselling.com. If you want to learn more about our coaching program where Matt and I spend a ton of time, you're welcome to go check that out at ninjacoaching.com. You can also find the tab on Ninja Selling. And if you want to learn more about other offerings, books, things like that, it's all there. And then we do have our Facebook community. We've got 13,700 people currently in that group. It is growing fast right now, Matt. I am letting a ton of people into that world and like-minded individuals. That's the thing I'm loving about it the most, is that still, as we have this large group of people, it is staying very ninja for the most part. It's very self-policing right now, and I appreciate all you diehard ninjas out there that help keep it ninja when those times come up. But amazing group, amazing people. You can go in there and ask questions about Ninja if you have trouble with systems or trying to figure out how to mail something, create a real estate review. All you got to do is go into that group, and there's people there that will help you. So with that being said, Matt, thank you. Always appreciate our time together.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure, man. Well, everyone, catch you on the next one.
If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.